again to jobs, AI is going to take our jobs, right? So then, why is that? Because AI is involved more and more in the work that we're doing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I mean,
Yeah,
I
if it's
grew up.
repetitive or if it's pure knowledge based, AI is going to have both of them.
I'm never. If you want, yeah, because that's this is where I'm working at. So we're talking about the 6 steps that I'm talking about right now. So and then at step number one, and then if
Yep.
AI still, if AI is that great, right, and if it's going to replace everything, why does
Mhm.
OpenAI still have engineers? And then
Terrific. I'm very excited today to have Tudor Brad on the call with us. He's from betterqa.co. And yes, Brad is his last name. Best last name ever, right? Tudor, welcome to the coffee hour here. Very excited to meet you and talk about some of your philosophies here. You've been really nominated in your country for your QA business, for the processes that you have. And I've noticed you even have some very interesting philosophies, which I agree with when it comes to testing everywhere. And um, and so much more. So I'm excited about our coffee hour today, and I want to give you a second to introduce yourself.
thank you, Philip, for having me, and thank you for the introduction. Also happy to have this discussion with you. I also brought my coffee.
Yes, I today got extra big.
All right. So I'm Tudor Brad. I'm the managing director of BetterQA. As you said, we are a company that's providing software testing services only since 2018. We are established from Cluj-Napoca, which is in the heart of Transylvania, where the vampires come from. But I haven't seen a vampire in these last 500 years that I've been here, so I don't know about that.
The legends. Okay, I was about to say, are we going to have some good QA vampire stories?
I'm gonna leave that for the evening.
We're gonna have a Halloween edition.
Yeah, yeah. So, how do you want to start, Philip?
All right, cool. So let's talk. You have a philosophy of test everywhere, and I love this philosophy. I want to see how far or how carried away you get with that. And I mean carried away in a good way, because when I'm looking at my process, right, I start from ideation and we go all the way through helping somebody, build their entire business, right? Just not the app or the product, but to go all the way through learning how to get customers, to marketing, to then when you have an understanding of how to market, then that's when I feel like you have a business, when you know how to acquire customers, and then help you build your business model, and then help you grow your team, right? Sometimes it's us, somebody else, right? But this concept of testing everywhere is so critical, because the very first place that I like to test is in the ideation stage, where you're just coming up with the idea, and it's you wouldn't imagine, like, you're going to talk to somebody about me and I'm going to ask you these questions like, hey, how many people have you talked to? Have you
Mhm.
done a proper kind of testing concept? Have you come up with a theory? Right. So enough about me. I want to see, do I sound crazy to you when I have that kind of approach, or is that aligned with your concept, or do you think I'm like still in a baby version of that?
I think you are aligned. Everybody is testing their idea, whatever industry or field that is in, because you want to have it working, right? Us as a business, we focused on software testing services, just because of the background knowledge that I've had. I
Mm-hmm.
initially worked on a startup that got bought and bought again in Florida. So we
Oh,
were,
congrats.
yeah, we were turning the page on pagers in like 2010, 2012. And over there, the company has built a solution that involved VoIP alarms and text on mobile and web. So once the iPhone came up, people started thinking, what's the best, a better thing than pagers in hospitals? And I was the only QA at the time over there. And in 5 years, I developed a team of QA engineers. We've been like 12, and that's how I got into this field. But and then based on the knowledge that I had, I pursued on to create better QA because I wanted to excel professionally in that area and to keep the same people on the same projects for as much as we needed or we required. Just being the
Hmm.
team in that company, we couldn't, I mean, I couldn't just financially motivate people, so they kept leaving, and I just had to create rigorous onboarding and training processes. So, thing is, I was great at QA. I've used my referrals, and happily, my wife, she's been in marketing, and based on her knowledge, we were able to scale up a bit, right? And now what we are testing, or what I'm testing, is marketing and sales actually. So I'm using the philosophy that I've created,
Hmm.
as you've said, test everything.
Yep.
I've mastered, I guess, software testing, and now there's a lot of A/B testing and seeing what fails and what works in regards to sales and marketing. So I think that's what I've been developing my skills in the last couple of years.
Oh, terrific. I love the philosophy. The I think marketing by definition is testing. Uh if you do, and if you go about it like you think you're going to create the best video out there, the best commercial out there, and spend 3 months doing that and make spend tens of thousands of dollars. If you haven't tested the concept, or if you're not testing and seeing how it's working in the marketplace, you don't understand marketing.
Yeah. So I like always to think a bit outside of the box. And I think users, at least myself, I'm not sure about you, whenever you see or whenever I see an ad, it's like my mind goes blank and I ignore it because I know it's an ad. I know
Hmm.
I'm the product because I'm the product, I guess, right? So I'm
Uh-huh.
skipping past it. So then I'm trying to promote ourselves in a more natural kind of way in which people don't seem that they're harassed by an
Hmm.
ad. And I'm looking right now to provide a solution and actually something that's useful for the reader, right? We've
Hmm.
used we've used a lot Google Ads last year, but I've noticed now, and in this year we haven't had any success with Google Ads, so we stopped.
Hmm.
I see myself as the first user. I'm using ChatGPT more and more to find anything online, right? So I
Yep.
think the future in regards one funnel of the business would be for you to make sure that ChatGPT will present your solution if people are asking what's going on with my app, why is it breaking so much, what should I do? Oh, you might need some better QA, right?
Uh-huh.
So I think,
Yeah, right. Better architecture. Test
yeah,
it.
that's one thing that we're looking into in 2025. And then as well, I'm not sure if you're using Hacker News or Reddit to just get your feedback from what's going on around the world. So then
Hmm.
what we're doing is
I'm a
just,
big fan of Hacker News.
yeah, me too. And then on Hacker News, not so much, but now on Reddit, because I'm not sure how you can promote on Hacker News, right? Because I've done
Uh-huh.
that.
Yep.
I looked into it, but I don't know how to yet. But on
You'll
Reddit,
you'll test it out. You'll find it.
yeah, exactly. On Reddit, we're presenting solutions to problems that we've had in the past, right? To people in certain groups that might make sense for us to advertise. I mean, I'm not going to go in the quality assurance space because it would be like selling ice cream to an ice cream truck or to an ice cream factory, right? I'm
Hmm.
I'm going to areas like entrepreneurs or startups or IT managers, and then I'm presenting. Look, we've had this problem in the past. This is how we've solved it at Better QA.
Hmm.
Nothing really that's pushy or get our services now, you can get a discount or whatnot. So I'm trying in a more natural way in which people see that I'm giving them something
Yep.
instead of just showcasing my brand new car with X, I don't know, options or features or whatnot, and get a, I don't know, below MSRP value. You
Uh-huh.
would you would be a fool if you won't buy the car right now. So yeah, I think
Right.
I could go on, but I'm gonna leave you some time to just comment.
No, it's cool. So, all right. So you're currently working on learning how to test in the marketplace, and the world is changing so much. It's just like you said, Google used to be a great way to get your brand out there. Now you to SEO, I think, is almost trash nowadays. People aren't going on Google to find stuff anymore. They're
Yeah,
going and they're going basically to ChatGPT or Claude
yeah,
or any of these other AI platforms out there.
yeah.
And yeah, and they're even using it for research. People aren't going to websites unless they're recommended by the deep research algorithms.
Yeah. And what I've heard just recently today in the news actually was that a college student from the US wants to sue the university because she found out that her teacher was using ChatGPT to create the lessons and materials.
What's wrong with that?
But the problem is that if the students would have been using ChatGPT or AI for their reports, they would have been expelled, right? So I mean, they could have just learned from ChatGPT instead of paying the college tuition fee. So I mean, it's a crazy world that we're living.
That's a big debate though, isn't it? Right. So what are your thoughts? Right. It's when I was younger, we invented the calculator, right? Because I'm like a caveman. No, but we know that we know the jokes about how first they resisted the calculators at certain grade, and like we don't like our second or third graders using calculators when they're trying to learn how to do basic math. But when they're in algebra, great, use your calculator. It's not going to help you,
Yeah,
right?
that's a
But
great
don't
analogy.
use this tool because until you learn it.
Yeah, that's a really great analogy because then you need to know how to do math to
Yeah,
calculate
you got to
before.
think a little bit first, right?
Yeah.
So,
Uh, Another analogy would be of a post that I've heard like a year back in which a lady was angrily frustrated at AI because she wanted AI to do the dishes and wash the laundry and cook, and then for her to be able to create images and to create art, or not and not differently, right?
mm-hmm.
So that was another thing that I was thinking right now today. I saw that a bunch of businesses are scaling down people because they're pushing AI agents like AI HR, AI whatnot, right?
Yep.
And then I was thinking, what would be a safe job that you could learn now
Mm-hmm.
that would be paid in 10 years, right?
Yeah.
Because then AI is going to take over everything. So
Sure.
then,
So if you're like a high school student, I get this
Mhm.
question a lot. Uh, Mostly like people are like, my kid is going to college. What should they study next? They're going to college next year. What degree should they pick? And I'm like, should they really go to college in the first place right now? It's my first question. Um, and then they're like, should they join the army? And I'm like,
Ah,
no, 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 don't do that.
so
Uh,
yeah, I think the college and school is a great way to showcase to your future employee or to anybody that you were resilient enough and you had
Perseverance to get through
the
something.
perseverance to finish something and to attend courses every day, to go and wake
Hmm.
up every day to attend the course and to finish it. One of my teachers at university, he said that we won't be using what they're teaching us. I'm not using what I learned at university, but I learned how to learn, right?
Yep.
So I think that that's one thing. And
Yeah.
whenever I hire people, sorry, whenever I hire people, I take a look. Did they finish their studies?
Hmm.
That's something that I'm looking at.
So you look to
So,
see if they started and finished their studies.
yeah, that's an important aspect of just I don't know,
Grit.
accomplishment or just starting and finishing something. It's
Yeah, yeah.
important.
It does show grit. Um, I also wonder if it shows like poor choice that they expect to, mama said go to college, because you don't want to wash the toilet, right? You don't want to clean floors, so go to the toilet, go to university.
Yeah.
So, why did they go to university? Did they treat it like a place where they can learn, develop themselves, or do they go there to party and to get a paper degree that's, makes it so they don't have to do work when they grow up?
So I mean, for example, I play soccer or football with some kids that are at geography. I mean, as much as I enjoyed geography in school, I don't know what those guys will be doing after they're gonna finish
Uh-huh.
college, right? Just to be honest, I think they're gonna be like they're gonna sell. You can sell Dominican vacations without going to college, right? You can work at
Yeah.
so what are you going to do? Maybe you're going to be a guide in a cool place. That's something, right? I've
Uh-huh.
seen I've seen guides in Spain. They're like always on cocaine.
Right. It takes a lot of energy for that. It takes some passion.
Yeah, and it's a lot of passion, and it's interesting to see them. But the guys in Romania, oh, things were not like the way they used to be back in communism. Everything's very depressing, right? I
Uh-huh.
think
Oh.
sometimes you just need a bit of more.
Sometimes you
ener-
just need to go to Spain to see the guy on cocaine doing a store.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay, that's a to-do list for me.
yeah,
I'm going to Spain to see a tour guide.
yeah.
I'm not going to say why.
So let's go back. Let's go back again to jobs. AI is going to take our jobs, right? So then, why is that? Because AI is involved more and more in the work that we're doing, right?
Hmm.
And I mean,
Yeah, if it's repetitive or if it's pure knowledge based, AI is going to have both of them.
I'm never able to use some. I mean, 95% of what AI is giving me, I need to tweak and I need to read what
Hmm.
is what it's giving me because it's not final and it's not good, right?
Yeah, I've never had any pure AI product that was, to me, to a standard that's acceptable for sales or for public release.
Exactly. So then that's one thing. You still need the expert, right? You need
Hmm.
the expert, and but if you're not an expert, you can still learn, right? Because it can learn, it can teach you how to code. Although sometimes it doesn't give you perfect, almost not almost 0% of the time it gives you perfect code, right? But it can still teach you how to code.
Well, right now, it's this really scary good. OpenAI's Codex, it's like 70% for standard level tasks. It's 70% first time hitting it, which that's 30% crap, right? And you need to still guide it and hold its hand like a brilliant 5-year-old.
Yeah.
But it's getting quite amazing. Just going to assume that it's going to accelerate to the point at some point where it'd be like, Phil, no, I know you think I'm wrong, but here's why. And she does that to me sometimes. It's like, no, Phil, who writes, the problem is based off the architecture. If you consider this future challenge, you might as well solve it now. I'm
Yeah.
like, we weren't going there, but okay, since we're already talking about it,
Mm.
let's go ahead and do it. Right.
What
But
I've last week I've done two self-assessment tests for two positions that we are hiring at BetterQA. Based
mhm,
on the job description, I've created 2 pages with Claude on our website, right? HTML based, in which people are going to self-assess them and for us to get a score based
yep.
on their feedback and the job description. And I thought it looked good, right? I gave it to HR to just run a test and it spat out good results. But when people actually used it, I noticed that once we printed the PDF report, the text box, which was expanding in the HTML view, did not expand, was not presented as expanded when you printed it out. So still,
Uh-huh.
you need somebody to validate what's happening.
Yes.
Before you give it to production. And that's where I wanted to come in, right? In regards to AI. AI is going to help you do more
Hmm.
in less time, But if you're going to use AI to validate the output of an AI agent again, and if your
Mhm.
users are going to be the first line of defense for your make it or break it product, then I think you're going to most likely fail. And now more than ever, you need somebody that's going to validate, like a human, right, interface to
Mhm.
validate what's happening before you end up in production. So then, more than ever right now, there's a need for this quality assurance uh, framework
Uh-huh.
that will help you increase the velocity of your development team because they're coding much faster, but
Mhm.
that still needs to be validated to see if it's working properly or not.
Yeah. It kind of brings me to the second point. Validations for any agency or software development or marketing team, even as you put about it, I haven't really thought that through very much. About testing your marketing strategy via external sources, but for for us, of course, we do internalized testing all the way through. But
Mhm.
when you're about to go raising funds, one of the things I like to do before a big fundraising stage, if it's not like the 10 or 20,000, but when you're trying to raise 100 or $500,000 or $1 million for your company, is to get external testing of the system, QA essentially, and external security check of the system. And this creates a bit of a packet that gives investors a lot of confidence that the organization is very thorough about
Oh, yes.
how they build.
Definitely. I mean, and it's not something that you test just once, right? You need to
Mm-hmm.
have um, a framework that's embedded into the software development lifecycle. Because if you just do one test at a given point in time, then that build that you tested, then you have assurances that it works properly. But then if the external environment changes, or if you push some new code into the
Mm-hmm.
product, then you don't know if those validations are still accurate or not.
There's definitely and this is good talk, this is right up your alley for
Yeah.
traditional concepts. The I'm a big fan of putting testing into the CI pipeline, CD pipeline.
Mhm.
At what point do you think that's useful, and do you like think that's gospel? Do you think that's kind of a third of the picture of it? Where do you see that kind of having value or not?
So that's helpful to reduce the time of testing, the time it takes to test something, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's somehow being introduced at the later stage of testing. So if we imagine like an agile type of environment in which you are iteratively implementing new features every 2 sprints, right?
Mm-hmm.
Actually have the quality analyst that's going to analyze the requirements before anything gets implemented, that's
Mm-hmm.
going to identify problems before they get introduced in the code, right? So
Yep.
usually in these cases, I do the file uploads
Do you want me to share
example.
this screen?
If you want, yeah, because that's this is where I'm working at. So we're talking about the 6 steps that I'm talking about right now. So and then at step number 1, we're talking about requirements review, which is actually my favorite part of software testing because that's where we can put our touch into the finished product. And
Yep.
usually I do like the file upload example in which, yeah, let's say that you guys want to implement file uploads, right? So then we're going to ask questions like, what are the valid extensions? What should happen if you upload the file without an extension at all? Or if it's a password protected file, or if it's a corrupted file, right? Can all user roles be access those files? Can you access those files without being logged in? Can you upload multiple files at the same time? And so on and so forth. What are the size limitations? Can you upload the Bible, right? So those are the questions that you want to address before anything gets implemented. Because if we look at this, let's say, chart, the quicker you identify the problems, the less cost it's going to generate. So if you have a problem that's happening in production, it's going to be the same cost for you to fix it because you're paying the development team and the QA team the same amount of money. It's going to be the same amount of time, but the revenue that you're going to lose and the brand damage that can happen due to
Yep.
this is exponential. So then, getting back at step number one, once we've done that, the quality analyst is going to write the test cases while the development team implements the code. And when the code is done, we're going to do two major things. We're going to do standalone component testing to see if the component, the feature that was implemented, works fine on its own based on the requirements. And then we're going to integrate it with the existing product to see if anything broke, right? So that's still the quality analyst. And then one thing that I think this is where we shine most, Philip, most people would think that our job is to find bugs, but that's not true. If we find bugs and we let them slide in production, then what's our purpose, right? I think, I believe our purpose is for us to ensure that the required bugs which need to get fixed are getting fixed before you end up in production with them.
Mm-hmm.
Would you agree with this statement?
It's hard to argue, right? So there's bugs that you can let go, and there becomes an argument about, is that a bug or is that a feature if you
Yeah.
just don't like the way it works. Sometimes in QA, a lot of times you'll find both, right? Features that you just realize that this wasn't planned well, and bugs of things that just don't execute as they should. So yeah, no, this is why you have staging environments, and this is why you have your production environment.
Yeah. And here, most of the times, you might see that the development team, they don't understand how to reproduce the bug, or the product owner, the decision maker, might not understand the risks. What can happen if you release with that problem in production, right?
Mm-hmm.
Once you nail these things, the development team will fix those bugs. And then we do another regression test in order to see if the fixes have uncovered other problems or if the
Yep.
other functionality is okay. And then we ship, right? And then we get back to your point, CI/CD. So at step number 6, the quality analysts are going to write happy flow paths for that functionality so that the automation engineers to automate it. And once you have that automation in place, be it end to end, like also API testing or only front end testing, once
Mm-hmm.
that's in place, you can include that in the pipeline. And then in future iterations, you don't need to retest everything manually. You're just
Yep.
going to do the manual part for the new features. So then that's that's my take on the CI/CD pipelines.
Cool. Yeah. The twist to that I like to add is there's a difference. There's different ways you approach this when you're building your MVP versus when you have a user base. So the kind of approach we're talking about right here is what a lot of people do when you're looking at the building your MVP, right? So you ought to build out your MVP in a way where you can have smaller releases, start building up the product in meaningful ways, get that real minimum viable product out there so that you can kind of get to your audience, start testing, depending on competition, right? There's sometimes
Yeah.
you have to go just full bore, but a lot of times you can really get out in the market with a lot less than you think you can. But it's got to work good, right? That core functionality has to be solid, right? So that's why you have this testing. So for me, the developers have to go through that CI/CD pipeline, even at the local stage, to push it to the repo before it ever gets pushed into staging or production. And then there's different levels at some point, because they have to kind of self-assess themselves before they bother anybody else, right?
Yeah.
And once you have your customer base going, now you have to have another intermediary step where you're having 10% or 20% of your users as your beta testers, and you go from staging to beta testing to releasing it to your full user base.
Yeah. No. So it can go different ways, and then the market will sometimes dictate your next step. I mean, not all the time.
Always. How many times have I been like, I can't tell you how many times like this is a brilliant idea. We need to do it this way. We ask like 10 or 20 people, right? We do some, cold testing. People like, that makes so much sense. I love it. And then it goes to the mass market and it's like, you just use the wrong test group to sample this. Oh,
in most cases, you can have the best idea in the world, and actually, for it to be the best idea, right? I was thinking just today, the one of the biggest delivery services in Romania, like you guys have DoorDash in the US, got purchased by Volt. Volt is like this Eastern European business that's doing door-to-door delivery, and they purchased us. I mean, that doesn't really make matter a lot. But I was thinking that this idea to deliver food in a service related way was my idea way back when I was a teenager. I talked to McDonald's and I told them, look, because McDonald's were not doing delivery at that time. So I said, look, I like to do delivery for your food to customers locally, because there was a lot of demand to McDonald's. I mean, people are crazy here. If you go to a McDonald's, there's always a line.
Yep.
Which is kind of crazy, but if you eat at McDonald's in Romania, you get a better food experience than if you have it in the US. That's something I can tell you.
They use different food base. Just so everybody knows, the European market has different laws on what people are allowed to eat versus what's in America. If you're following the news, Kennedy is having a lot of fun with that right now.
Yeah. So then, I was like 15 years ago, I was like, this is a service that's needed. But then McDonald's said, no. They didn't even want to talk with us, right? And now, 15 years later, it's a big business that's pouring millions and millions of euros. So then, even if you have the best business idea, if there's nobody to sell it, to market, advertise it, to promote it, then you're going to fail, right?
Some ideas are just ahead of the market.
Yeah. They might not be ahead of the market, but it's a good salesperson can sell you rocks, right? And you can buy rocks online.
Oh yes. My wife has a pretty rock on her finger when she's not very mad at me.
Yes. Yeah. So I mean, it's all about that's what I realized in these last couple of years. It's all about the wrapper, how you wrap your service and your product, and how you advertise.
The communication and that value proposition is a big deal. And in our industry, I think authority is going to become a new commodity, right? So part of me is trying to figure out, since AI is changing the way that we search, the way we do research, the way we almost even live, I'm trying to figure out how do we integrate, our products, our pages, our content in a way that's going to make it easily referenced by AI and to get our opinions out there.
Yeah. So one of the problems that I'm seeing, and I saw there's a movie that simulates our interaction with the world in 50 years by now. Everything's going to be AI driven, and then it's going to be very difficult to talk with a human. And then if that AI gets stuck with you in a loop, you're going to just die over there, because there's nobody that's going to be able to unstuck you from that situation, right? And even now, if you go on chat at any business online, initially you're going to get greeted by a chatbot that's going to try to solve your problems, but they have predefined answers. They're not that smart, at least yet. It's very difficult for us to get in touch with a person that's actually able to take decisions regarding a contract or a change of fees or whatnot. If I'm going to have an AI that's going to have authority to change the contract for a service that I'm paying, then that's going to be great, because I'm going to try my ass off to
iterate and to hack it. Yes.
Yes.
To confuse it.
Yes. So then, why aren't these businesses doing this? Because they're afraid. They don't trust AI, right?
And right
Where
now
are
they
we?
should be.
Yeah, where are they going to get in 50 years by now? Definitely, those AIs were going to be, I don't know, helping us create the best loans, helping us manage or reduce a contract.
Hmm.
But for that self confidence, you need to have it very best, very well tested.
What's your philosophy on testing AI? Have you have you played with this much?
Yes, we have a couple of processes in place that uh, we follow internally in regards to how you test AI, and it's there's this input that you give it, and then the prompt that you want to analyze the input with, and then you want to see the output, right?
Hmm.
Apart from all of this, you have the general uh, um, communication tests. What happens if you apply X to it, right? What if you
Hmm.
do a man in the middle attack and you change the payload that's being sent to the server, or you change the payload that's being received by the client? How will it interact? Um, People are going to use any kind of, like, even AI, right? They're going to use it in the elevator, in a parking lot where you don't have great internet connectivity. How will that be manageable um,
Hmm.
by the environment? Because developers, they're always on a good network, but humans are going to use these services God knows where, right? And then
Yep.
if AI is that great, right, and if it's going to replace everything, why does
Mhm.
all AI still have engineers?
I've heard they're only about 30% AI driven software now development now.
Yeah, I
So
mean,
I don't know if that's true or not. I've heard some people say that's an exaggeration. Heard some people say they're using it far more than that. They just don't want to say it.
I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I did at this point in time. If you just look at LinkedIn, right? How many employees does OpenAI have? How many of them are software developers? How many of them are QA engineers? And then
Hmm.
that's enough. And is that number growing or
Have you
de-
followed that? Have you seen their trends in testing versus development?
no, not yet. I wasn't really curious, but we can do that now.
Yeah, let's take a quick look.
OpenAI. So they have 5,200 associate members.
Can you
Uh,
imagine having 5,000 employees in your company?
no, I mean, I could imagine. And now they are growing. There's 1 year growth 109%, 6 months growth 48%. So it looks like AI is creating jobs, at least for them, instead of
AI is obviously creating jobs, right? AI will AI ever replace people? What do you think? Like, do you think it'll really replace the human?
well, I think because I'm reading some posts on Reddit, and there was one guy that was doing translations, and he said that his business got bankrupt by AI, right?
Yep.
Translation agencies and also designers, they are receiving less and less work because now, I mean, look at Sora AI and what
Hmm.
it's doing. We've played with a cow doing paragliding, right? And then we put it like, is that's supposed to be there, right? As a meme on TikTok for BetterQA. You guys can check it out. It's pretty funny.
Uh-huh. I'm going
But
to look for the Sora flying cow.
yeah, yeah. And what I'm seeing, at least in my group of Romanians in IT, there's a lot of uncertainty and fear in regards to what's going to happen, right? Because you've said, what in what direction should I push my kid to learn in school, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't really know right now.
I also struggle with that. For me, my current advice is this, and after that, I'm going to give you the last word because I'm running short on your time.
Okay.
But my current advice is learn how to do a variety of things, learn how to think logically, how to think creatively, and how to communicate, and be brave and curious, and try music, try robotics, see what you enjoy doing in life, and see how hard it is to learn something new, and see if you can find joy in doing that, but also find joy in stability.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So what I'm looking into every day in my life is to find something that you enjoy doing. And then if
Mhm.
you enjoy doing something, then you won't be working an hour in your life and eventually going to make money out of it.
I certainly hope so. I certainly hope so. That's a good message to end on. Wow. So inspiring, Tudor. I love it.
Yeah,
I love it. Today we ended on a message of love from Tudor
yeah.
from Romania. Thank you very much, Tudor. I so much appreciate having you on the call today.
Thank you as well, Philip. It was a meeting better than I expected. I wish we could do this more often. So if you have any topics that you want to discuss in the future, I'm here.
Awesome. Guys who's listening to this, reply in the comments below. If there's a topic you'd like us to talk about more, I would love to get into more of this tested everywhere concept. We just barely scratched that. And I'd like to share my concepts a little bit more on that. And I didn't have a chance, and have you push back on that, because there's so many ways to approach testing in a methodical way and to validate it in a scientific kind of way, and use AI to help speed up the process, that we just didn't even touch. So guys, look below in the comments, in the description, for links to Tudor's LinkedIn and his website. Check that out. I highly encourage every agency out there to consider at least validating at some point their app and business concepts. You'll find it's a great practice to do. You can't go wrong with this. So again, thank you very much today.
Thank you as well. Thank you.